Day 8. I decided that since I just did my first large monster hunt yesterday, I would take a bit of a break and wait to go on another quest until tonight. I could have gone and traveled to other villages in the cargo hold of the airship, but instead, I spent the day for the most part talking to everyone in Berna, petting the Mufas, and even getting my own pet Mufa, a newborn I decided to name Cotton. Cotton, by the way, is absolutely adorable and I love them so much. I also decided to go to the smithy and see if I could get some better armor and weapons, and I ended up deciding I wanted to try and get all the Maccao gear. However, I only had the materials for the hat, which I decided to make. It is a very nice looking hat, with a feather and everything. It's familiar, but for some reason I can't quite lay a finger on what the style is. Anyway, in order to make the rest of the armor set, I'll have to hunt some more Great Maccao, which I wouldn't mind doing, as well as some Larenoth for their hide. I also need to find some shiny beetles. Hopefully, however, none of that should be too difficult. That night, I decided I'd take on a request that one of the villagers gave to me asking to slay 10 Maccao. I didn't take Luna with me because after our week of hunting last time, she wasn't really feeling it, so I let her stay home and have a break. I wasn't quite expecting the Great Maccao to show up as well, but considering that the subquest was to wound the target monster, I probably should have guessed it would. So much for I'm not going to immediately hunt another large monster. I guess, in a way, I didn't hunt another large monster though, even if I did fight it a bit. I tried to complete the subquest as I've consistently done up to this point, and it was a bit of a pain considering Luna wasn't there to help, the Maccao were attacking me constantly, and my dual blades are really dull since I had a lack of whetstones. I really need new weapons. Anyway, I did try to complete the subquest, but I believe the Great Maccao unintentionally killed one of the smaller Maccao, which completed the request, and I was sent back to the village. A little frustrating, but I suppose so long as I managed to complete the request, I managed to complete the request. Day 9. Today was uneventful from a quest standpoint, but it was the first time I've gone anywhere outside of Berna in the Jurassic Frontier. I went on a gathering tour to the dunes in hopes I would find the shiny beetles needed for my Maccao armor, though I was either looking in the wrong spot or simply unlucky because I did not manage to find any. Not only that, but the heat in areas 2 and 7 was unbearable. I thankfully had some cool drinks, so it was mostly fine, but goodness I hate deserts so much. They're hot, dry, and full of sand that gets everywhere, and compared to other environments, they are mostly uninteresting to look at. I will admit, however, that Area 5 was very cool. It was basically a cave with sand pouring down into it. I can imagine it will probably be very difficult to fight in the future, and probably lead me to be slightly frustrated as I fight against the currents of pouring sand. But hey, it's pretty pouring sand. For some reason, the Apsaros, herbivores I thought would be peaceful, attacked me, and the venomous Ioprey in Area 3 were yet another example of why I need better weapons. They're not even large monsters, but once my blades became dull, they just bounced off of what seems like every part of them. In the end, I didn't manage to find what I was looking for in the dunes, but at least I was able to familiarize myself with the area, which should be good considering that the Bernagao told me that fighting a Cephadrome there may be a quest that pushes me closer to my next promotion. Day 10. Today I wanted to focus more on getting materials for the Maccao gear, and that is most likely what I will be focused on for the days to come. To get these materials, I did hunt a few Larenoth for their hide, though naturally I left the children alone. On the same quest, I attempted hunting another Great Maccao. For some reason, I had a much harder time with this Great Maccao than I had any other before, and I carded twice. However, I also observed and did some things I hadn't before. I managed to successfully perform a mount, causing the Great Maccao to fall, and I wounded its tail, which caused it to fall even more. I kind of felt bad for it. I also watched it eat eggs, which showed that it was most likely an ovivore. Despite the difficulties I had with this particular Great Maccao, I was able to successfully hunt it. Unfortunately, I still needed 2 more scales for the dual piercers, the Great Maccao dual blades, so I'll have to hunt another one tomorrow, and perhaps even more after that. Day 11. I found Ventaler, though for some reason, he is a feline. I decided to bring both him and Luna on my next Great Maccao hunt. Vint helped to protect me, Luna helped to motivate him, and together we obtained enough scales for at least the dual blades I wanted. Day 12. The materials from yesterday's Great Maccao hunt left me with enough to forge the dual piercers of the Maccao male, and I gave Luna and Vind each horns that could heal us. The next hunt was definitely a success, with me not needing to heal or sharpen a single time, and the Great Maccao being slain in around 5 minutes. Day 13. Today marked the last time I'd need to hunt a Great Maccao for the armor, as I got the rest of the scales, and with the scraps from my own armor, I had a matching set of armor made for Vintaler. Day 14. It's the end of my second week, and the prospect of actually being a monster hunter really kicked in. I've only fought a Great Maccao and a few small monsters thus far, but this world is surely full of much more dangerous monsters. I got a bit scared for a bit, fell into a bit of a panic, and started to worry that, well, surely this world is the world in which I would die. Sooner or later, some monster would kill me, or I'd receive an injury too great for me to recover from. However, Vintaler came in during this panic and reassured me, offering me hugs and emotional support. He offered to go on a gathering tour to the dunes for me to allow me to have a break from hunting for a day and to collect the remaining shiny beetles I needed for my armor. And I accepted his offer, thanking him very much. I suppose he was also a great person for the job, considering he had infinite bug nets, and apparently much better luck than myself, since it only took him that one trip to find all 4 shiny beetles. Exactly how many I needed to complete my armor set. Day 15. Today, after my break yesterday, I was feeling a bit better. This was certainly helped by my new full set of Great Maccao gear, since my odds of surviving felt a bit higher. I decided that now that I had this gear, I was ready to take on my second large monster, the Cephadrome. According to my notes, the Cephadrome is the herd leader of the Cephalos, the small Piscean wyverns that inhabit the dunes, swimming through the sand as if they were fish swimming through water. I'd also learned that they were sensitive to loud sounds, and their fins could cause paralysis. With this information in mind, I took a sonic bomb with me on the hunt, as well as some cool drinks, though looking through my item box, it didn't appear that I had anything that may help with paralysis. Vintaler and Luna weren't super enthusiastic to come, and though I didn't blame them, I brought them anyway. If it was going to be my first time fighting this monster, I could use all the help I could get. The 3 of us headed off to the desert to face the Cephadrome. I was keeping my eye on the fins of Cephalos in the sand, seeing if I could spot the Cephadrome, but it turns out that the Cephadrome was definitely not hard to spot in the desert. It was way bigger than I expected it to be. I believe I only came up to its knees, or a bit higher than that. Maybe I had just found a huge Cephadrome. It's crazy to think that they may all be that huge. Unfortunately for me, the Cephadrome liked to spend most of the hunt under the sand, which made it difficult to attack, and when it was out of the sand, it was difficult to hit anything other than its legs most of the time. Because of how short the periods of time were that it was knocked over, I felt that using the sonic bomb simply wouldn't be worth it, and that I should simply wait it out instead. Also, I did not manage to complete the subquest this time, which was to get 2 successful mounts. I only managed to mount it once, and even then, that mount was a failure because it had too much energy. When I tried climbing the same pillar later in the hunt to attempt it again, the Cephadrome had knocked it down and basically created a sinkhole in the sand. However, I did not manage to mount it again. I only caught it once during the hunt, and surprisingly, it wasn't even to the Cephadrome. I needed to take a moment to drink another cool drink because it was so hot there in the desert, so I went to another zone to do so. However, this random Cephalos managed to paralyze me and knock me out. It was a bit annoying to lose some reward money just because that Cephalos showed up, but it's fine. It actually didn't take as long as I was expecting to slay the Cephadrome. It started limping after a bit, but during this time, it decided that the best thing to do was to continuously go back and forth between zones 3 and 7, which weren't even bordering each other, by digging underneath the sand. Though this was a mild annoyance, I was able to chase it down every time and eventually slay it. Day 16. I was admittedly still annoyed about that Cephalos responsible for taking 500 of my Zenny yesterday, so today, to simultaneously help someone out and get my vengeance, I gladly took on a quest asking me to get 5 Piscean livers and, as a sub-quest, hunt 5 Cephalos. I may not like the scorching heat of the dunes, but I did like the idea of getting that Zenny back from the Cephalos, and I knew that the quest wouldn't take me very long. When I made it back to the dunes, however, I decided to go beyond what either the quest or sub-quest requested of me. I gathered as many Piscean livers as I could, double what was asked of me, and because I used the opportunity to gather some additional materials, I hunted any Cephalos that got in the way of my gathering. It may be slightly amusing that I act as if any of this hunting will teach Cephalos not to attack me again in the future, but hey, it was satisfying to me at least. Hello everybody, it's me, Ember, and I'm here to remind you guys that if you want to have a Palico show up in this series, you can go ahead and fill out the Google form down in the description below, and one of them will be chosen at random to be added into the series in future episodes. If you would still be interested in hunting alongside me, then you can join the Discord. That is also linked in the description. Keep in mind though that Discord will soon be going through a rework, so that way everything kind of functions, works, looks better, things like that. So I'll be down for a little bit, but I'll be back up again soon. If you liked the video, consider leaving a like, please, and if you disliked, then consider leaving a dislike. Even though dislikes are not available to the public anymore, I could still see them. So if you don't like it, I could still kind of gauge your opinion on it and know whether this is, again, still something I should be continuing to do. The first episode went really well, so I think that I'm going to continue doing this because I enjoy this and the style of doing things and recording and speaking and whatever. If you would like to see my videos and live streams in your subscription feed, then you can subscribe. Subscribing is free, you can always unsubscribe later, and it helps out my channel. And if you'd like to receive notifications for when they are up and when I'm live, then you can ring the notification bell, which is like right next to the subscribe button. Anyway, that is all for this video, so I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!